Hi, my name is Rick. I'm a compulsive overeater. I was wanting to share my experience at the Hiltonhead Health Institute. Back in 2007, I weighed 310 pounds. I exercised no portion control and decided to control my weight through exercise alone. Over a period of 3 months, maybe longer, I went from 310 pounds to 305 pounds. But again, I exercised quite a bit, but no portion control. Then on October the 21st of 2007, I spent 2 weeks at the Hiltonhead Health Institute. They put me on 1,500 calories a day, and my weight went from 305 pounds to 292 pounds in 12 days. I considered that good. I was excited. Sometime when I was there, they convinced me that I could do this, that this was something that I could do. I still remember the training class that I went to that convinced me that I could do this. I could control my weight. I set some fitness goals when I was there. One of them was to do one pull-up, which I did in 14 weeks from when I started. I was 259 pounds. I did a half marathon on the elliptical in under 2.5 hours. I was happy to do that. One fitness goal that I had set, which I had actually taken off my list, was to have a resting pulse of 50. That occurred week 49. I had even crossed it off my list. I thought I'll never get my pulse down that far. And that is before I get out of bed, before I'm moving, I check my pulse. And then 50 push-ups, I was able to accomplish that. Unfortunately, I can't do 50 push-ups now. I lost 78 pounds in 28 weeks. That's aggressive weight loss. That's approximately 1% of my body weight per week. That took me to 227 pounds. I made the first of many mistakes. I thought, well, I don't look that good. I can kind of slack off. So over the next 32 weeks, I lost 16.5 pounds. Then I was able to lose 16.5 pounds in the next 7 weeks, which took me, and again, that's aggressive weight loss, took me to 197 pounds and 14% body fat. In total, it took me 67 weeks to lose about 100 pounds and to get my weight down to a good weight. I will just touch on some of the things I learned at the Hiltonhead Health Institute. One of the things they taught us was you should take thermal walks. You walk a mile after breakfast, a mile after lunch, and a mile after dinner. Not only does it burn 100 calories, but it raises your metabolism. They also taught us that we need to control our portions. Eat 5 to 6 times per day. I eat 6 times a day. I have breakfast, then a metabol meal. Now I eat lunch, and then mid-afternoon I have a metabol meal. I eat dinner, and then later on that night I have a metabol meal. And the other thing they taught us was to eat a balanced diet. 25% of your calories should come from fat, 50% from carbohydrates, and 25% from protein. Or if you want to, you can have 20% of your calories from fat, 55% from carbohydrates, and 25% from protein. The diet that they recommend, I think, is very similar to the one that the American Heart Association recommends, the American Cancer Society recommends, the American Diabetes Association recommends. Those diets are all very similar. And those, from what I know, which is not much, those are good diets, any of those. They also teach that you should engage in 4 different types of exercise stretching, cardio, weights, and exercise your core. And then my own little math that I figured out is if you want to lose a pound a week, you cut out 500 calories a day. That adds up to about 3,500 calories in a week. Or you walk 5 miles a day. That burns about 500 calories. You'll lose about a pound a week. Or any combination. When you walk a mile, you burn about 100 calories. If you jog a mile, you burn about 100 calories. The other thing they taught us was not to bring trigger foods into your house, foods that you cannot stay away from. They cause you to overeat. Just don't bring them in the house. Beware of foods that have a health halo. The biggest example of that is olive oil. Yeah, it's a healthy fat, but it has a lot of calories. So don't make everything swim in olive oil. And then one of the things that they told us was be fitted with a good pair of walking shoes or running shoes. I buy mine at Fleet Feet Sports. Their number one recommendation there, and they said more people pointed to this as the key to their success, was to keep a food and exercise journal, to write down what you eat. Now, I keep a journal, and I've quit doing this, but for a while I actually would write down how many grams of fat, how many grams of carbs, and how many grams of protein, and then add them up at the end of the day and see how many I was eating to make sure I was eating adequate fat, carbs, and protein every day. I've quit doing that. Oh well, room for improvement. One of the other things they taught us many, many, many times was progress, not perfection. And when you go into a restaurant, there are different things on the menu. There are good food choices, there are better food choices, and then there's the best food choice. They always encouraged us, you might not make the best choice, but try to improve, make better food choices than what you're doing right now. The other thing they taught us was to avoid all or nothing thinking. The example that they used for that was, well, I've blown my diet today, so I might as well just eat whatever I want for the rest of the day. Now, according to them, if you have a slip up, go back to your plan. Go back to your plan. And then I would add, this is my, and they didn't say this, but I add, don't go back to you go back to your plan now. Not Monday, not tomorrow, not January 1st, now. The other thing that they taught us was to focus on what you're willing to do, not really, I want to lose so many pounds per week, how can I do that? But focus on what you're actually willing to do. Now, they recommended some books. The top 3 books that they recommended, the number one was the Volumetrics Eating Plan by Barbara Rolls. That's a very good book. It's a very good book. I follow what that book says. You need to be, if you eat this thing, it's going to satisfy you more than just this one cookie, because you're getting more food. You're getting enough food, the volume of food. And then the other book that they recommend is Mindless Eating, Brian Wanskin. And I won't go into too many details in the book. It's easier to change your environment than it is to change your mind. The whole thing, eat off smaller plates. But that's true. That's true. And then Eating on the Run, wasn't that crazy about that book, but Hilton Head recommends it. I don't even remember what was in the book. And then I'll mention one other book that Hilton Head recommended, The Tipping Point, how little things can make a big difference. I like that book. That taught me about how if you add up at a certain point, things just seem to start working. And But anyway, thanks for listening to my story about at the Hiltonhead Health Institute. Um, Strangely enough, when I lost my 67 weeks, I lost 100 pounds. I ate foods at that time every night. I had different foods, chocolate, ice cream, every night, 400 calories worth of them. But those are foods that I now consider binge foods that I do not touch. I won't eat them. I choose not to eat them. They're binge foods for me. Well, anyway, thanks for listening to my story. Bye-bye.